As I reflect on the events that transpired, it's difficult to comprehend the reality of my experience. What started as an innocent curiosity soon spiraled into a nightmare beyond my wildest imagination. This is my story, a tale of horror that began with the discovery of an old, forgotten cabinet. It was a quiet evening when I stumbled upon an antique shop tucked away in a narrow alley. The shop, barely noticeable, seemed to call out to me as I passed by. Driven by an inexplicable urge, I decided to step inside. The air was thick with the scent of aged wood and dust, and the dim light cast eerie shadows on the walls. As I wandered through the maze of relics, my eyes were drawn to an old, ornate cabinet in the corner. It was unlike anything I had ever seen, intricately carved with designs that seemed to shift under the flickering light. Compelled by an unknown force, I approached it, my heart pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The cabinet was locked, but as fate would have it, I found a small, rusted key resting on a nearby shelf. With trembling hands, I inserted the key into the lock and turned it. The door creaked open, revealing a dark, musty interior. At first, I saw nothing unusual, just old papers and trinkets. But as I reached further in, my fingers brushed against something cold and smooth. I pulled it out, and to my horror, I was holding a severed hand. The skin was pale and lifeless, yet perfectly preserved, as if frozen in time. The fingers were slender and delicate, adorned with rings that hinted at a once elegant owner. Shocked and repulsed, I dropped the hand, but it landed softly, almost as if it cushioned its own fall. I stood there, frozen in place, unable to comprehend what I had just found. But then, an overwhelming sense of curiosity overtook my fear. I picked up the hand again, examining it closely. There was something strangely captivating about it, an aura of mystery and power that I couldn't resist. Bringing the hand home was a decision I would soon regret. I placed it on a table in my living room, unsure of what to do next. That night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that the hand was somehow watching me. My dreams were filled with unsettling images of the hand crawling around my house, its fingers twitching and curling with a life of their own. The next morning, I awoke with a sense of unease. As I went about my day, I noticed strange things happening. Objects would move on their own, lights would flicker, and I could hear faint whispers that seemed to come from the hand itself. I tried to ignore it, convincing myself that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But as the days passed, the occurrences became more frequent and more sinister. One evening, as I was watching TV, I felt a cold touch on my shoulder. I turned around, and there it was, hand, resting on my shoulder, his fingers gently squeezing. I screamed and jumped up, but the hand fell to the floor, lifeless once more. I knew I had to get rid of it. I tried to throw it away, burn it, even bury it, but no matter what I did, it always found its way back to me. It was as if the hand had chosen me, and there was no escaping its grasp. One night, as I lay in bed, I felt an overwhelming sense of dread. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. All I could do was watch in terror as the hand crawled up onto my bed and wrapped its fingers around my wrist. The touch was cold and firm, and I felt a strange energy coursing through me. From that moment on, the hand began to control my actions. It would guide me to places I didn't want to go, make me do things I didn't want to do. I was a prisoner in my own body, unable to break free from its grip. The hand had a will of its own, and it was using me to fulfill its dark desires. Days turned into weeks, and my life became a living nightmare. I lost my job, my friends, everything I held dear. The hand drove me to the brink of madness, pushing me to the edge of my sanity. I became a shadow of my former self, haunted by the malevolent force that had taken over my life. One evening, as I sat in my living room, the hand resting on my lap, I heard a faint whisper. It was coming from the hand, his fingers twitching in response. The voice was soft but clear, speaking words that sent chills down my spine. "You must return me," it said, "to where I belong." I had no idea what it meant, but I knew I had to find a way to rid myself of this curse. I searched through the cabinet once more, hoping to find some clue, some answer to this enigma. Buried among the old papers, I found a faded photograph of a woman, her hand resting gracefully on a similar cabinet. The back of the photo had an address scrawled in elegant handwriting. Determined to end this nightmare, I set out to find the woman in the photograph. The address led me to an old, decrepit mansion on the outskirts of town. The place was abandoned, its windows shattered and its walls covered in ivy. As I approached the front door, I felt the hand tighten its grip on my wrist, urging me forward. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of decay. The floorboards creaked under my weight, and the shadows seemed to dance in the dim light. I followed the whispers, the hand guiding me through the labyrinth of rooms, until I reached a small, hidden chamber. There, in the center of the room, was a pedestal, and on it rested a severed arm, perfectly matching the hand I had found. The moment I placed the hand next to the arm, a blinding light filled the room. I felt a surge of energy, and then everything went black. When I awoke, the hand was gone. The mansion was silent. There still, I stumbled out of the house, my mind racing with confusion and relief. The curse was lifted, and I was free. Or so I thought. The following days were a blur of normalcy. I tried to rebuild my life, piece by piece, but the memories of that time haunted me. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still watching me, lurking in the shadows. One night, as I lay in bed, I felt a familiar cold touch on my shoulder. I turned around, my heart pounding, and there it was, hand, back again, his fingers gently squeezing. This time, however, it was different. There was no malevolent force, no dark energy. Instead, it seemed to be pleading, as if asking for help. I realized then that the hand was not the source of evil, but a victim of it. It had been searching for something, someone, to help it break free from the curse that bound it, and somehow, it had chosen me. With a newfound determination, I set out to uncover the truth behind the hand and the cabinet. I delved into old records, spoke to historians, and pieced together the story of a woman who had been wronged, her spirit trapped within the confines of the hand. She had been reaching out for help, and I was her only hope. Through my research, I discovered that the cabinet had once belonged to a powerful sorcerer who had used it to trap the souls of his victims. The woman's spirit had been bound to the hand, her life restrained to fuel the sorcerer's dark magic. She had been seeking someone pure of heart to help her break the curse, and that someone was me. I returned to the mansion, the hand guiding me once more. This time, I was prepared. I had gathered the necessary artifacts, performed the rituals, and invoked the ancient incantations. As I placed the hand on the pedestal, the air crackled with energy, and the room was bathed in a brilliant light. The spirit of the woman appeared before me, her eyes filled with gratitude. She spoke words of thanks, her voice soft and melodic. With a final surge of energy, the curse was broken, and the hand dissolved into dust. I stood there, exhausted but triumphant, knowing that I had done the right thing. The nightmare was finally over, and I was free, but the experience had changed me forever. I had glimpsed into the abyss, faced my darkest fears, and emerged stronger for it. As I left the mansion, I couldn't help but feel a sense of closure. The past was behind me, but the lessons I had learned would stay with me always. The world is full of mysteries, some darker than others, but it is our courage and determination that allow us to face them and come out the other side. And so, I share my story with you, not as a warning, but as a testament to the power of the human spirit. No matter how dark the path may seem, there is always a way through, and sometimes, it is in the darkest places that we find our true strength.